The night shift encounter detective Jamie Roswell had seen plenty of strange things during her 8 years on the Chicago PD, but nothing quite prepared her for the pale figure standing in the middle of Grant Park at 3 a.m., completely naked and apparently unbothered by the October chill. "Mum, are you all right?" Jamie called out, her hand instinctively moving to her radio. The woman turned, and Jamie's breath caught in her throat. She was stunning in an otherworldly way, silver hair that seemed to shimmer with its own light, skin like polished marble, and eyes that reflected the streetlights like a cat's. "I appear to be displaced," the woman said, her voice carrying an accent Jamie couldn't place. It was melodic, almost hypnotic. "This is not where I intended to arrive." Jamie approached cautiously, noting that despite standing barefoot on the frost-covered grass, the woman showed no signs of discomfort. "Let's get you somewhere warm. There's a 24-hour diner just across the street." The woman tilted her head, studying Jamie with those unnervingly bright eyes. "You are not afraid of me, should I be?" A smile played at the corners of the woman's lips, revealing teeth that were just a little too sharp to be entirely human. "Most would be, if they knew what I truly am." Jamie found herself inexplicably drawn to this mysterious stranger. Something about her felt both dangerous and fascinating, like standing at the edge of a cliff and feeling the urge to jump. "What's your name, Zara?" the woman replied after a moment's hesitation. "And you are Jamie Roswell, detective badge number 4729, divorced, no children, and you have a scar on your left shoulder from a knife wound sustained 2 years ago." Jamie's hand moved instinctively to her shoulder, where the scar lay hidden beneath her uniform. "How could you possibly know that?" "I can read the electromagnetic patterns your body produces. Your memories, your experiences, they leave traces." Zara stepped closer, and Jamie caught a scent like ozone and starlight. "You fascinate me, detective. Your aura is different from other humans." Other humans? Jamie's training kicked in, but somehow she couldn't bring herself to draw her weapon. "What exactly are you, Zara?" "I am Carillion, what your kind might call a vampire, though we prefer the term plasma feeder. We come from a star system your scientists call Kepler 442. Zara's eyes seemed to glow brighter in the darkness. "My ship malfunctioned during what you would call a routine scouting mission. I was forced to make an emergency landing. Jamie should have been calling for backup, reporting a possible mental health crisis, or at the very least getting this woman to a hospital. Instead, she found herself saying, 'Are you hurt?' Not hurt, but weakened. The crash drained my energy reserves. I need to feed soon, or I will die." Zara's expression grew serious. "This presents us both with a dilemma, detective." "What kind of dilemma?" "I require human plasma to survive what you call blood. But unlike the creatures of your folklore, I do not need to kill to feed. A willing donor can provide sustenance without permanent harm." Zara stepped closer, close enough that Jamie could feel an unusual warmth radiating from her skin. "However, the feeding process creates a connection, a bond that cannot be easily broken." Jamie's heart was racing, though whether from fear or something else entirely, she wasn't sure. "What kind of bond?" "Your emotions would become entangled with mine. Your life force would be partially synchronized with my own. You would live longer than a normal human, but you would also be forever changed." Zara reached out, her fingers hovering just inches from Jamie's cheek. "I can see in your mind that you are lonely, detective. You crave connection, purpose, something beyond the mundane existence you've built. You're asking me to choose," Jamie whispered, understanding finally dawning, "between letting you die or changing my entire life." "I am asking you to choose," Zara confirmed, "between giving me your blood or giving me your heart. The choice that changes everything." Jamie stared at Zara, her rational mind warring with something deeper and more primal. The alien woman's proposal hung in the air between them like a loaded gun, intimate, dangerous, and somehow inevitable. "This is insane," Jamie muttered, running her hands through her dark hair. "I'm a cop. I deal in facts, evidence, reality, not whatever this is." "Reality is more fluid than your species believes," Zara replied, her voice gentle but unwavering. "Your quantum physicists are only beginning to understand the malleable nature of existence." Jamie paced in a small circle, her breath visible in the cold air. Say I believe you, which I'm not saying I do, but hypothetically, what happens? If I say no, if I just walk away and pretend this conversation never happened, then I will die within the next few hours, and you will spend the rest of your life wondering if you could have saved someone who might have changed everything for you. Zara's eyes never left Jamie's face. But if you say yes, if I say yes, I become what your personal blood bank. You become my mate, Zara said simply. In Carillion culture, the feeding bond is sacred. It is not entered into lightly, and it is never broken. You would be choosing not just to save my life, but to intertwine your existence with mine for centuries to come. Jamie felt a shiver that had nothing to do with the cold. Centuries? The plasma exchange extends human lifespan significantly. You would age, but slowly, perhaps 20 years for every 100 that pass. Zara moved closer, her movements fluid and predatory. Is that not what every human secretly desires? More time? More time for what? To watch everyone I care about grow old and die while I barely age. Jamie's voice cracked slightly. That sounds more like a curse than a gift. You say that as if you have people you cannot bear to lose. Zara's words were pointed but not cruel. I have been inside your mind, Jamie. I have seen your memories. Your partner died in a shootout 3 years ago. Your marriage ended because you could not open your heart to someone who could not understand the darkness you carry. Your family lives across the country and rarely calls. Each observation hit like a physical blow, not because it was mean-spirited, but because it was true. Jamie's life had become a careful construction of professional success, built on personal isolation. You're lonely, Zara continued, just as I am. My people live for millennia, but we rarely form deep connections. We are too different from most species, too dangerous, too misunderstood. But you. She reached out and this time did touch Jamie's cheek, her skin impossibly warm. You have something I have never encountered in 800 years of existence. What's that? The ability to see darkness and choose light anyway. Your memories show me countless moments where you could have given up, could have let the cruelty of the world harden you completely, but you didn't. You chose compassion even when it cost you. Zara's thumb traced along Jamie's jawline. That kind of strength is rare in any species. Jamie closed her eyes, leaning involuntarily into the touch. It felt like coming home to a place she'd never been. If I do this, if I feed you, what happens next? Do you just disappear back to your ship and fly away? My ship is beyond repair. The crash-damaged systems that cannot be fixed with Earth technology. Zara's expression grew vulnerable for the first time. If you choose to help me, I would be stranded here, with you, forever, for as long as you would have me. Jamie opened her eyes and found Zara watching her with an intensity that made her feel exposed, and understood simultaneously. This is crazy. I don't make decisions like this. I'm methodical. Careful. You are also brave, Zara interrupted. And you are tired of being careful with a life that has brought you little joy. It was true. And Jamie hated how easily this alien woman could read her deepest truths. She thought about her empty apartment, her solitary dinners, the way she filled her off-duty hours with work because she had nothing else to fill them with, the feeding. Jamie said finally, "Does it hurt?" No, quite the opposite. Zara's smile was gentle but unmistakably predatory. The bond creates euphoria, connection, understanding. You would feel what I feel, know what I know, for as long as the exchange lasts. Jamie's heart was pounding so hard she was sure Zara could hear it. And after, what would I become? You would become yourself, but more, stronger, faster, longer lived. You would gain some of my abilities: enhanced senses, rapid healing, the capacity to read electromagnetic signatures. Zara's eyes glowed brighter. You would become my anchor to this world, and I would become your gateway to the universe. The offer hung between them, tremendous and terrifying. Jamie realized she had already made her choice. She just hadn't admitted it yet. The bond that binds Jamie's apartment had never felt so small. She paced the length of her living room while Zara sat perfectly still on the couch, watching with those luminous eyes that seemed to see straight through to Jamie's soul. "So how does this work exactly?" Jamie asked, her voice rougher than she intended. "Do I just roll up my sleeve and offer my neck like some gothic romance novel?" Zara's laugh was like silver bells, but there was something sad beneath it. The feeding is intimate, yes, but not in the way your popular culture depicts. It is less about taking and more about sharing. Sharing what? Everything. Zara rose gracefully, moving to stand near the window where the first hints of dawn were beginning to lighten the sky. When Carillions feed, we do not simply consume blood. We exchange life force, memories, emotions, for the duration of the bond we become, connected in ways your language cannot adequately describe. Jamie felt her mouth go dry. You mean you'll be able to read my thoughts? And you will be able to read mine? Zara turned back to face her. Every fear, every desire, every memory I carry from 8 centuries of existence, you will have access to it all. Just as I will experience your human emotions with an intensity I have never known. The implications hit Jamie like a freight train. That's terrifying. Yes, Zara agreed simply. It is also the most profound form of trust possible between two beings. To open one's mind completely to another. It is not something my people do lightly. Jamie sank into her armchair, suddenly overwhelmed. What if you don't like what you find in my head? What if I'm not as strong or good as you think I am? I have already seen enough to know who you are. Jamie Roswell. Zara approached slowly, like someone trying not to spook a wild animal. But if you are truly afraid, we can wait. I can survive a few more hours. No, Jamie said quickly, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. If we're going to do this, we should do it now, before I lose my nerve. Zara knelt beside Jamie's chair, bringing them to eye level. Are you certain? Once the bond is formed, there's no undoing it. Jamie studied Zara's face, searching for any sign of deception or ulterior motive. Instead, she found something that looked remarkably like hope mixed with genuine concern. I'm certain, Jamie said, and realized she meant it. Zara nodded and stood, extending her hand. Then come with me. She led Jamie to the bedroom, where soft morning light filtered through the curtains. Zara sat on the edge of the bed and patted the space beside her. The connection works best when we are close, she explained as Jamie settled next to her. I will need to touch your neck, your wrists, places where your pulse is strongest. Jamie's heart was racing so fast she felt lightheaded. Will it change how I look? Will I grow fangs or something? No dramatic physical changes, Zara assured her with a small smile. Though your eyes may become more sensitive to light, and you will be able to see electromagnetic auras around living things. That's actually pretty cool. It is quite useful in police work. I imagine you will be able to tell when someone is lying, sense their emotional state, even detect certain illnesses. Jamie blinked. You mean I'll become a better detective? You will become a better everything, Zara said softly. Are you ready? Jamie nodded, though her throat felt tight with nervousness. Zara reached out and gently pushed Jamie's hair away from her neck, her cool fingers trailing along heated skin. Breathe, Zara whispered, and Jamie realized she had been holding her breath. When Zara's lips touched her throat, Jamie expected pain or at least discomfort. Instead, she felt a warmth that spread from the point of contact throughout her entire body. It was like sinking into a perfect bath or feeling sunlight on her face after weeks of rain. Then the real connection began. Jamie gasped as Zara's consciousness touched hers. Tentative at first, then with growing confidence. Suddenly she was experiencing memories that weren't her own, soaring through star fields and ships that defied physics, walking through cities built of light on worlds with purple skies, feeling the loneliness of being the last of her kind to leave their dying homeworld. But she also felt Zara experiencing her memories, the pride of solving her first major case, the grief of losing her partner, the quiet satisfaction of helping victims find justice. Through Zara's perception, Jamie saw herself as someone strong and compassionate, someone worth saving. The physical sensation intensified. Pleasure unlike anything Jamie had ever experienced flooding through her nervous system. She heard herself moan and felt Zara's corresponding surge of satisfaction and arousal. Jamie. Zara's voice echoed in her mind rather than her ears. You are magnificent. Time seemed to stretch and compress. Jamie felt her life force flowing into Zara while something wild and ancient flowed back into her. Her senses sharpened until she could hear Zara's heartbeat. Smell the ozone scent of her alien biology. See the faint golden glow that surrounded them both. When it was over, they lay entwined on Jamie's bed, both breathing heavily. Jamie felt different, more aware, stronger, as if someone had turned up the contrast on reality itself. "How do you feel?" Zara asked, her voice husky with exhaustion and satisfaction. Jamie took inventory of her body and mind. "Like I've been plugged into a power source I didn't know existed." She turned to look at Zara, noting that the alien woman's skin now had a healthy flush instead of the marble pallor from before. "You look better. I feel reborn," Zara admitted. "And you, my brave detective, are now something entirely new. New powers, new danger." Weeks after the bonding, Jamie was still discovering the extent of her transformation. She stood in the police station's bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection with a mixture of wonder and concern. Her eyes, once a simple brown, now held flecks of gold that seemed to shift and dance in the light. More importantly, she could see things that shouldn't have been visible. Detective Kevin Murphy walked past the bathroom door, and Jamie could see his aura muddy green shot through, with streaks of angry red. He was lying about something, probably the reports he'd claimed to have finished yesterday, 2 months ago. She would have had to rely on intuition and investigative work to catch him in the deception. Now she simply knew. Her phone buzzed with a text from Zara. "How are you feeling today, my heart?" Jamie smiled at the pet name. They had grown closer than she'd thought possible in such a short time. The psychic bond making traditional relationship milestones feel unnecessary when you'd shared someone's deepest memories and emotions. Dating seemed almost quaint, different. She texted back, "But good different. Any unusual sensations, headaches, sensitivity to sound or light?" "No headaches, but I can hear conversations from 3 floors down. And I think I accidentally read Captain Morrison's mind during the morning briefing." "What did you learn?" "He's having an affair with someone named Rebecca, and he's terrified. His wife will find out. The enhanced telepathic abilities will stabilize within a few weeks. Try not to probe too deeply into others' thoughts unless necessary." Jamie pocketed her phone and headed back to her desk, where a stack of cold cases waited. She had been making unprecedented progress on old investigations, her new abilities allowing her to spot patterns and connections that had previously been invisible. She was deep in reviewing witness statements when her partner, Detective Rico Santos, approached with 2 cups of coffee and a concerned expression. "Jamie, we need to talk," he said, setting 1 cup on her desk. "About what?" she asked, though her enhanced senses were already picking up his anxiety and confusion. "About whatever's been going on with you lately." Rico sat on the edge of her desk, his voice low. 3 weeks ago, you were good at your job but not superhuman. Now you're solving cases that have been cold for years. You never seem tired, and yesterday I swear I saw you lift a filing cabinet by yourself that usually takes 2 people to move." Jamie's stomach dropped. She had been so focused on adjusting to her new abilities that she hadn't considered how obvious the changes might be to those around her. "I've been working out," she said weakly. "Working out doesn't give you the ability to spot a suspect in a crowd from 6 blocks away or know exactly what questions to ask. To make a perp confess." Rico's aura was a swirl of concern, curiosity, and fear. "Jamie, I've been your partner for 2 years. I know when something's different. Are you on some kind of enhancement drugs? Because if you are, it's not drugs," Jamie interrupted, then immediately regretted speaking so quickly. "Then what is it?" Before Jamie could answer, her enhanced hearing picked up something that made her blood run cold. A conversation happening in Captain Morrison's office 3 doors down. Increased activity in the Roswell case files. Someone was saying in a voice she didn't recognize, "She's been accessing databases she shouldn't have clearance for, asking questions about unsolved cases involving unusual circumstances. Are you saying she's compromised?" Morrison's voice was tight with tension. "I'm saying she's displaying capabilities that are inconsistent with normal human parameters. We need to bring her in for evaluation." Jamie's enhanced senses allowed her to identify at least 3 other heartbeats in Morrison's office. People who shouldn't have been there. People whose auras she couldn't read. which meant they were either wearing some kind of shielding technology, or they weren't entirely human. "Rico," she said quietly, grabbing her jacket, "we need to leave." "Now, what?" "Why?" "Because I think we're about to have company, and I don't think they're here to give me a commendation for good police work." Rico's confusion spiked, but he had been a cop long enough to trust his partner's instincts. They walked casually toward the elevator, Jamie fighting every instinct that screamed at her to run. The elevator doors had just closed when Jamie heard Morrison's office door open, and several sets of footsteps moving quickly down the hallway. "Jamie, what the hell is going on?" Rico demanded as they descended. "Something I should have seen coming," she muttered, pulling out her phone to text Zara. "We need to meet. Now, they know about me." The response came back immediately. "Safe house, 1-47, Elm Street. Come alone." "I can't come alone," Jamie texted back while Rico watched with growing alarm. "Why not?" "Because my partner is with me, and I think they're going to try to use him to get to me." As if summoned by her words, Jamie's enhanced hearing caught the sound of vehicles surrounding the police station through the elevator's security camera feed, which she could somehow access with her mind. She saw unmarked black SUVs pulling up to every exit. "Rico," she said as the elevator reached the parking garage, "how much do you trust me?" "More than I probably should, given the circumstances." "Good. Because I'm about to ask you to do something that's going to sound completely insane, and I need you to do it without asking questions." The elevator doors opened to reveal the parking garage, which appeared empty but felt wrong to Jamie's enhanced senses. She could detect at least 6 people hiding behind cars and support columns, their heartbeats elevated with adrenaline. "We're going to walk to my car," she whispered to Rico. "Don't look around, don't act suspicious. And when I say run, you run and don't look back." "Jamie," "Rico, I will explain everything once we're safe, but right now I need you to trust me. The way I've trusted you every time we've walked into a dangerous situation together." He nodded reluctantly, and they stepped out of the elevator. They made it exactly 12 steps before the trap was sprung. Blood, heart, and forever the attack came from all sides at once. Figures in black tactical gear emerging from behind concrete pillars, weapons raised but not firing. They wanted her alive, Jamie realized, which gave her the advantage of knowing they wouldn't shoot to kill. Detective Roswell called a woman's voice from behind the lead vehicle. "We need you to come with us, cooperatively, and if I refuse?" Jamie called back, positioning herself so Rico was behind her. "Then we take you anyway, but your partner gets hurt in the process." Jamie felt her newly enhanced senses kick into overdrive. She could hear heartbeats, track movement through electromagnetic signatures, even sense the chemical composition of the tranquilizer darts loaded in their weapons. More importantly, she could feel Zara approaching. Her mate's presence was like a beacon in her mind, growing stronger with each passing second. "Who are you people?" Rico whispered. "Government types who think I've become something that needs to be studied." Jamie murmured back, "Remember what I said about running?" Before Rico could respond, the parking garage lights went out. In the darkness, Jamie heard the tactical team's confusion as their night vision equipment suddenly malfunctioned. What they couldn't see was Zara moving through the shadows like liquid mercury, her alien abilities making her nearly invisible to human technology. "Now would be good." Zara's voice whispered directly into Jamie's mind. "Run," Jamie hissed to Rico, then threw herself sideways as tranquilizer darts whistled through the air where she had been stand. What followed was unlike anything Jamie could have imagined 3 weeks ago. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge between vehicles, while Zara systematically disabled the tactical team's equipment. Jamie could see in the dark now, track movement by electromagnetic signature, even predict her opponent's actions by reading their biometric responses. But it was Rico who surprised her most. Instead of running as she'd told him to, her partner had taken cover behind a concrete pillar and was methodically disabling the tactical team's vehicles with his service weapon. When one of the black-clad figures tried to flank Jamie, Rico put to round center mass into the man's body armor, dropping him. "I don't know what you've become," Rico called out during a brief lull in the chaos, "but you're still my partner." The firefight lasted exactly 4 minutes, and 37 seconds. Jamie's enhanced perception allowed her to track time with perfect accuracy. When it was over, 6 government agents were unconscious or disabled. Their leader was in custody, and Rico was staring at Jamie and Zara with an expression of wonder and terror. "So," he said finally, holstering his weapon, "I'm guessing she's not from Chicago." "Kepler 440 to system, actually," Zara replied with amusement, "though I'm quite fond of your planet's pizza." Jamie felt a surge of affection for both of them, her stalwart partner who had chosen loyalty over self-preservation, and her alien mate who had risked exposure to save them both. "Rico," she began, "I know this is a lot to process, you're telling me." He looked between them, noting their obvious connection, the way they stood close enough to touch, the protective way Zara positioned herself near Jamie. "So what now? Are more of these government types going to come after you?" "Probably," Zara admitted. "The transformation Jamie has undergone makes her unique on this planet. There will be those who want to study her, control her, or eliminate the threat they perceive her to represent. Then we disappear," Jamie said firmly. "All of us, Rico." "I know it's asking a lot, Jamie," Rico interrupted. "I've been a cop for 15 years. I've seen enough corruption and bureaucracy to know that sometimes the system isn't worth protecting. If you say these people are the bad guys, that's good enough for me." Jamie felt tears prick her eyes. Another side effect of the bonding was heightened emotional responses. "Are you sure? Besides," Rico grinned, "I always wanted to see what was out there beyond Chicago. Turns out there is more interesting than I expected." Zara stepped forward, her expression serious. "Rico Santos, if you choose to join us, I can offer you protection and longevity similar to what Jamie now possesses, but it would mean leaving your old life behind completely." "What old life?" Rico laughed. "Ex-wife who hates me, kids who live across the country, apartment that smells like takeout and regret. Yeah, I think I can manage the sacrifice." Jamie looked at Zara, who nodded slowly. "The bonding process is different for secondary connections, but it can be done. Rico would become part of our family, for lack of a better term." "Family," Jamie repeated, liking the sound of it. For the first time in years, she wasn't alone. She had Zara, with her ancient wisdom and otherworldly strength. She had Rico, loyal and brave and willing to follow her into the unknown. And she had herself transformed, enhanced, more than she had ever been before. "So what do we do now?" Rico asked. Zara smiled, and in the dim lighting of the parking garage, her eyes seemed to glow with inner fire. "Now we disappear. I have contacts. Off-world, safe havens where humans with enhanced abilities can live freely. We can build a new life together, all of us. Off-world." Rico's eyebrows shot up, like space travel. "Off-world. The universe is vast," Zara said, "and full of wonders your species hasn't even imagined yet." Jamie felt a thrill of anticipation, mixed with lingering fear. "What about Earth? What about the people who need protecting here? Who says we can't come back?" Zara asked. "Enhanced humans with alien technology and knowledge. We could do more good operating from the shadows than we ever could within your legal system." Jamie considered this, feeling the rightness of it settle into her bones. She had been given extraordinary abilities and an extraordinary partner. Why not use them for extraordinary purposes? "Together?" she asked, looking between Rico and Zara. "Together." They both agreed. As they walked toward Zara's concealed ship, apparently she had been keeping several important details to herself. Jamie reflected on the choice that had brought her to this moment. Zara had asked her to choose between giving her blood or giving her heart. In the end, Jamie realized she had given both, and in return, she had received something beyond her wildest dreams. A love that transcended species, a partnership that would last centuries, and a chance to protect the innocent on a scale she had never imagined possible. The stars were waiting, and Jamie Roswell, former human, current enhanced being, forever protector, was ready to meet them. Behind them, the city lights of Chicago twinkled in the darkness, unaware that 3 of its most dedicated protectors were about to become legends among the stars. The end.